And welcome back to the podcast, the Broad Street Review Podcast, Season 10. I still can't believe it's Season 10. I've been saying that for 28 episodes. But we are here, Season 10. It is March now, and it is Women's History Month. You should all know that. It is Women's History Month. So let's shine a light on all of the great work that women do all the time that don't often get credit for, and then let's just celebrate women all throughout this month and the rest of the year and for the rest of your lives. Why not?
Yes.
Today, I'm in the virtual studio with DemBruceGals, and you may have seen them out in the world. There's actually 5 of them, but I'm here with 3 of them today, and they have been out in the world just celebrating their love of theater and sharing it with all of us. And I've been following them for a while now, and I said, I got to get you into the studio. I think it'll be a nice, fun chat. And then I found out that a couple of the Bruce Gals are in my neighborhood, or I'm in their neighborhood. They've lived here for a while, and I've lived in this neighborhood. So it's so great. So I'm in the studio with DemBruceGals, and I'm going to give them a chance to introduce themselves, and we'll start with Tara.
Yes, it's good to start with me because I'm also the youngest. I am Tara Bruce. I am the youngest of the 5 girls.
Okay, I'm Ella, and I'm one of the older ones. Yeah, Tara and I are actually housemates, so we have fun together all the time. All the time.
And I'm Nikki. I guess you would say I'm the wild card, but yeah, I'm one of them Bruce guys. I'm the 4th sister.
All right. And somebody just had a birthday.
Woohoo! A fantastic birthday. And in tradition, of course, always making room for theater, we got to see the lovely Alvin Ailey company on my actual birthday. So that was so much fun. It was like the best time. Yeah. But thank you for having birthday to me.
Happy birthday. This isn't, you're not a production. You're not on our stages, but you are in and around in our theaters. But your social platform, you put effort into, showing us your journey, like getting to the space. Or if you've seen a couple of shows for a while, you do a reel, and the reel is like, here we are, and then we're also here, and then we're over here, and we're doing this. Come join us. Be with us.
Yes.
Tell us about how you decide, like, when did your love for the arts get to this point where all of you said, we need to make an effort to get out there and enjoy the art that's being presented together?
Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Good job.
Well, it started I think all our lives we've always loved musicals, and I've always loved drama and everything. So I think that was just natural for me to gravitate and then bring the other sisters along. But, it could be expensive.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a lot of money. So I remember going to see we used to go on the church bus trip to New York, and we saw the original Dreamgirls on Broadway. So that's how we would get to New York. But we started going to Walnut Street because they had really cheap tickets. The last row in the theater were $10. So we would buy the $10 tickets and be on the last row of the theater, but we were there. And so then we were like, okay, we missed some shows, so let's just subscribe. So we started a subscription so that we wouldn't miss any shows. So we did it for Walnut Street, and then we also did it for the Academy. So it's been close to 20 years with the subscriptions, and then it just started getting bigger from that.
Great. The Walnut.
I know Tara wanted to say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what I was thinking is that, and it started with musicals. That was the bigger part of it because that was our understanding, and our love for music itself lent itself straight into the musical world. And so when my sisters, Ella and Nicole, for me, were in high school, they got to do productions. And so I fell in love with it, but I kind of, like what Ella says, life happens and the cost kept me away from it. It wasn't until we got to start doing subscription that changed everything for how we consume the art.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah, we always try to shine a light on the many ways that you can engage in a conversation in theater. You know, if there's a financial barrier, there's so many ways you can volunteer. You can get the first preview ticket is always a very inexpensive ticket. In
Yeah.
most cases, you can pay as little as $10 for the first preview. And, but like being involved and then being out in the world, sometimes you get invites or you have a
Yeah.
friend that you
So
know,
true.
and there's so many ways. And I don't think any theater is trying to turn people away from engaging in the conversation. So I'm pretty sure, and I will say this as my position as executive director of Theater Philadelphia, that you could probably call a theater and they will find a way to get you into the theater.
Absolutely.
And that is
And I
very
was just
true.
gonna
That
that
just
was gonna be
recently
my
happened.
that was my
Yeah.
end because like they were saying, life happens, and Tyra and Ella have been subscribers for many, many years, and I wanted to tag along, but life was life, and I was a single mom with 3 sons, so the theater seemed kind of out of reach for me at that
Mm.
time, and they were the ones that turned me on to the $10 seats at the Walnut Street and even at the Academy. I mean, I took 3 little boys to go see The Taming of the Shrew, and we sat in the nosebleeds for $10 a piece just to give them that experience, and cost should never be a cultural barrier. So
Yeah.
getting those access tickets for $5, $2, or what have you, it opened up many, many doors. So you're absolutely right.
Yeah. And the access tickets are through Arts Access.
Reach.
That's
Artreach, yeah.
Artreach. And there's a little shout out for Artreach, that yet
Yes.
another way to get your access to the arts, not
Yes.
just theater, but just many ways. I feel like we've been working so hard to make sure that everyone has an equal opportunity to be
Yes.
part of the conversation, which
Absolutely.
is so great.
And what you said is true. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but
No,
I
go
just
ahead.
thought about when you said about access and reaching out to a theater. That happened recently. There was a production. There is a production going on right now, Blues for an Alabama Sky. And Elle and I were interested in getting tickets. And I was like, the cost, we've been doing a lot of theater lately, so let's watch it. But I reached out and they were like, unfortunately, we don't do that access.
Mm.
But we should be. So 1, thank you for reaching out to us. And 2, let's do a discount right now. And that was the thing. So it doesn't really, whether you have access card or however you do it, there is a way. And reaching out was just as simple and easy. They were like, sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was going to say earlier that the Walnut Street Theater and the Academy of Music, particularly the Kimmel Center or now Ensemble Arts, they tend to be the gateway in the region as they start as a sort of an introduction to the arts. Walnut Street Theater primarily produces musicals and what we would consider like canon theater. And that's enough for people of all generations to remember or to be aware of a title that they're bringing to the stage.
Absolutely.
And but then once you get here, you see this like classic, great example of a canon production, and then you say, what else is out there?
Exactly.
And so you start to realize there's so many other theater companies and there's so many other genres that they focus on. Everyone has their niche. And you start to find that. So talk about how your focus on the Walnut Street Theater and Ensemble Arts, let's say, then open the door for the rest of the companies that you now, experience.
I always think about, personally for me, was getting to know some of the local actors and actresses and directors that were doing different productions. And then as I started following their journey, I started seeing other productions that they were doing. And then that totally opened me up to a whole different type of theater house, I guess even consuming as opposed to just musicals. Then we're finding our way into musicals and workshops to see how, these things even happen, So I think that was for me what opened it up, getting to know some of the other artists.
Yeah. And that's another thing that's really great about our community the accessibility of the artists on our stage. Sometimes you're just like, I can't believe that the lead is sitting right here in the lobby talking to me, or like, that's the lead walking, or taking the bus,
Oh my gosh,
And
yes.
so
I was just saying that to Tyra and Ella that, like I was telling you, I had gone to sing Good Bones on Sunday and how I saw Walter and Akeem, and I'm like, I know them. They're like family to me now. We see them out and about. We talk to them. We engage with them. And I'm just so proud of them. Yeah.
Yeah. That's Walter DeShields
Yes.
and Akeem Davis.
Yes.
Those in the
Shout
community know them, and we love them very much.
X and New Light Theater, those other things. I love all of it.
Yeah. And again, there's so many unique ways to experience theater in Philadelphia as well. Like you just mentioned Theater in the X, who does an annual show. Well, they do shows throughout the year, but they do this annual show in Malcolm X Park.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is show up, bring a chair,
That's it.
buy a new t-shirt, and you're wide. Yeah. At
part.
BYOB. And it's nice. And I feel like
Shakespeare in the Park.
Yeah.
Shakespeare in the Park at Clark Park.
Clark
so those
Park,
things
yes.
are free, And it's just, for me, I'm very open, and I think we just have to be more receptive to things, not just the typical shows that everybody goes to, because there's so much talent. And I'm just speaking for myself, but there are things that I never thought I would really like Shakespeare. I'm like, I think my favorite Shakespeare play is like Midsummer Night's Dream, because it's comedy and everything, and I've seen it several times. So I'm like, I can follow that. But just so much now, what's being done with Shakespeare is amazing. So we saw Caesar, we saw Hamlet at the PA Shakes Festival. Just everything. We just saw this show at Quintessence. So
Rare Accidents,
and even at Clark Park, we saw what Much Ado About Nothing. Was that what that was?
Yeah.
And I also have to shout out Whitney White for Macbeth in Stride.
Yes.
Because that was amazing too. So people are just so creative, and just how it's not your mother's Shakespeare or your father's Shakespeare, whatever. It's something that you can get into. So I think people and try it. Even if you think you don't like it, you might. So that's what we've been doing. We've just been trying everything. And I love stories.
Yeah.
So, if it's a different story, I want to hear it. I want to see it. I want to see how creative people can be. So that's what brings me to all the different theaters in the city.
Yes.
Yeah. I think what I love about it is, especially when I'm following you all on social media, I'm seeing that we're all gravitating to the same conversations. And so I feel like, okay, our fingers are on the pulse. We are engaging in the same things. We're having those experiences, and it's always good to just see, like, I'm not the only one. And of course, you go into the theater and the house is full. Hopefully for the theater, the house is full. But you're looking around and there's always somebody or there's somebody who knows you.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait a minute, I've seen you around. And so there's always a way to make a connection. So whenever I post online, I'll say, like, you can always find a friend in the theater. And I'm always sitting next to somebody,
I love that.
somebody that we all love in the community.
It's funny that's because Gabe Moses, I'm a Cheney student, and Gabe had done Illuminating Ruskin at Cheney's library. And maybe about 2 months later, we were sitting in the same row, and out of my peripheral, I saw him. I was like, well, maybe I know a man, maybe I don't. And he grabbed me. He was like, hey, you go to Cheney. I was in Illuminating. I was like, oh my God. So you see these people, and even though you may not see somebody definitely sees you. So it was very exciting that, like you said, we're in the same communities.
And so many of our of the artists who were in our community at some point have gone on to other things, and it's really great when you find that out. I'll tell you like a quick story. There's a show on HBO called Hacks. There's a acquaintance of mine, Carl Clemens Hopkins, who is part of the show, and we went to the same wedding. My partner's best friend, Alex Kuiper. We went to her wedding, and we sat next to Carl Clemens Hopkins. And I was being introduced to him, but they said, we've met before. We've met many years ago, and told me this whole thing about how we met. And I was like, oh, wow, I do remember that. Well, nice to meet you again.
Yeah.
And it was just that moment. I had to go all the way to Milwaukee to reconnect to Carl, who I had met a long time ago. And then shortly after that, the call to
Yeah, I love that part of it because where you'll often see Ella and I together because Nicole is in school. She often goes to shows by herself. And that's one of the things that I do applaud her for because one, she's not, theater is to be consumed whether you're with someone or by yourself. Because if you wait for someone, you may not ever make it to a show, a production, or make a new friend. And Nicole does a great job at mingling with the people on the left and the right of her. But I think that also allows for people to see someone going to the theater by themselves because we always feel like we're the only one. But if we don't see an example of something, whether it's a single woman, whether it's two sisters, whether it's anything that goes away from what's considered the norm, we'll always feel like we're the only ones. And so I think that is important as well, and why we try to show that as well. So we could go see the same show, but you may see two reels in our on our page because I want people to see as much, diversity and different ways of consuming arts as possible. And that was one of our biggest goals in regards to it, for me.
And they are definite big sisters and little sisters because I'll even drive. I went to New York and I left class and I drove to New York on a Tuesday by myself. And they were like, watch out for this and make sure you park where you can see. And they'll give me like all the tips and tools of the trade. Yeah. But as soon as I get there, I let them know. On my way home, I let them know. But it gives us a chance to have that conversation about art from two different perspectives where they're seeing it together and having one idea and then I'm seeing it by myself and having another idea, but we can come together as a collective.
Yeah. I always wanted to there was a time where I had 13 contributors working with me. And I was like, at the time the technology wasn't there, but I said, wouldn't it be cool if we were all standing outside of 4 different theaters who are having an opening night and we're in like a group chat, like a group video conference, just talking about it. And then we can post that later. Like I'm at the Walnut Street Theater. I'm here at the Wilma. I'm in Chestnut Hill at Quintessence. And I'm all the way in Paoli at People's Light. I thought that would be really cool. And since there's so many of you should think about that. Yeah. Do like a FaceTime, which I think they let you record and then you can have fun with that being in different places.
I love that idea.
Tara's the best.
That's her baby.
She is on it.
Cool. So how did you get good at the reels?
So it actually came from we were already just like for ourselves. For our family, I became somehow the historian, one of my sisters, because I like to take pictures and I know how important they are and where media has changed and how we preserve images and things like that. I said, okay, social media came around. I said, and I could share it with not just my immediate family. I could share it with my extended family and that access. But then I started getting so excited about every show that we saw. Truly, whether it was a classic, whether it was a musical, whether it was a play. And I wanted to tell somebody about it. And of course, the people that I normally would tell are my siblings. I said, no, other people need to know about these shows. And so it would just be a picture here and there. Oh, this show was at Walnut Street or this, we just saw this. And it became that. But as I got more interested in the diversity of all the things that I consumed, I said, I need to do a reel because I need to show every aspect from, even if I'm going to a restaurant, maybe you need to know that there's this little cute place right around the corner. And this is our whole experience. It's a little, maybe a cocktail. We go into the theater, we may go check out merchandise, and then we may go in our seats and talk to the people around us. So I want to show them that it's not just a production on stage. It can be somewhat of a production of your night. It's the good times with the drinks, the socializing with the theater. taking in the arts, remembering that Philadelphia has such a vibrant theater, a space for theater that, why are we, this happened right after COVID, actually, that we really started getting really passionate about it because we wanted to make sure people were aware. Come back out. We had pictures where it's with masks on when it first started, but there was still, that was one of the first activities that came back in the world, actually, was theater. There weren't games still being done. There weren't, live studios. It was actual physical theater. And so that's where I found myself when it came to wanting to share it, is to get people back into something that we love. Come back, grab a seat there. And we've seen so many shows, and shows that we would not, because truly, although there's a lot of theater, musical theater is not as alive as it could be in Philadelphia, but the playwrights have been writing plays. They have been hot and on fire and doing such creative things. And there's so many different theater companies that I also want to showcase that, because I want people to know, if this is what you like, there's something for you. There is a theater company that does shows from across the pond. There's someone who just started, not just started, we just started consuming, but there's plays that have been at least 100 years old. And now that's solely what they do. You go to Quintessence and they're always doing the classics, and not just, the plays, but if they find a book, they will adapt it and put it on stage. So it's all kinds of great things. And still, they also still do children as well.
Yeah.
We went to see Pippin with the great, I want to say.
That was at Wilma.
Yes, but it was the musical theater company. And they were just kids just finding their way to the arts. So it's all of those things. They were amazing. And so that's why I think I found myself creating the reels, because I want to show a full experience of what a night out in Philadelphia could be.
Yeah. Was
And
that
Tara,
music
she's really
theater
good
Philly?
about.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what it was.
Right.
And they were fantastic. Now I'm on looking to buy tickets to go see them do Shrek and Shrek Jr., because I just love seeing them come to life. I love being in the theaters with young people to watch them take it in, because if they don't, theater will die off, because young people have to find their way there. And so I'm like, yes, let them be in the space. I want to see them on the stage. I want to see them in the audience.
She went when the kids went to see Caesar. She went to the show, the matinee, when they performed it for the kids.
And they were fantastic. As much as we may think that kids are going to goof off and do this, they were just as soon as the lights went out, I heard the gasp and I chuckled, because they were so excited. And that's what you want. You want kids to find joy in other things that they may not normally have. And this was made available through the theater company to make sure that Philadelphia kids can, again, have access to the art.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then Tara, she's really good with that, because she and Ella, I think it was perpetuated through our family. It started with my sisters going to see plays and shows, and then them bringing us souvenirs that they weren't for us, but we kind of claimed them. They would bring albums back and we would sing the albums. And then as the children, like our niece, they would take her to see Hello Dolly, and just exposing her to that. And then when I had my children, they exposed them to different aspects of the arts. And now with my grandchildren, they're still showing them the arts. They took my grandson to see, Tara took my grandson, Sakai, to see Aladdin. And he was just so thrilled. He still talks about that. Or when he went to see Havana Hot, and he was engaged with that. It has to start somewhere where we're constantly pouring into our children, because sadly, they've taken the creative process out of schools. There are no more music classes. There's very seldom a physical education class. They're not reading the same books because books are being banned. So some kind of way, we still have to channel our children back to the arts and the creative sides and open their minds to that. And I'm very grateful to my sisters for helping me and doing that.
That's great. You're right. That's what we have to do. I've been thinking about that as, as UArts closed and we started thinking about how programs had dwindled in many institutions, and saying like we have to keep this fire, the ghost light. We have to keep the ghost light on to do this. And I thought like every little bit of promotion helped, because like you're scrolling through your feed, and like it was a couple of seasons ago that I just started posting a picture of the playbill, and I just said, I'm here. Happy opening to the team and the cast and crew of this show. It's on stage until this. And so that way there was just an impression of their graphic on their playbill. And then it sort of caught on like fire. Like I didn't originate it by any means, but a lot more people started doing it. And I would go out into the community and they'd say, I'm posting just like you are. Or
that part.
Someone told me that they saw me in the theater, but they were waiting for my post. And actors have been backstage going like, I know he's here. I haven't seen his post yet.
I love that. And I think
funny.
I love that you say that.
To us sometimes too. Like if we're going to this show and we know somebody in the cast or whatever, they come out and see us like, oh, I had to come say hi to you because you were here.
Yeah.
And it's just great. I mean, I am so impressed with the creativity and just how talented the performers are. And I mean, we get to just sit back and enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I just have so much respect for them because I know it's not easy.
Right.
They just make it look easy, and it just brings me a lot of joy. So I that's why I love it so much too. I just like, it's an escape. And I just feel good. Usually when I leave, I'm like, I really enjoyed that. It was 2 hours I could forget about everything else.
Yeah.
And be in a different, environment and a different place. Not even, you know what I mean? In a whole different world, kind of.
Yeah.
And I love your post, Darnell, because you see a much more wide array of theater than I do. And because of that, you allow for me to open my mind. And so I think that is very important, even if it's just an image. Because then I'm going to be like, well, what show was that? And I'll go look.
Where are you?
Look it up. And it all helps. Every single person that posts and share anything about any theater they take in, it really does make a difference. Because I would have stayed in the same trajectory if had someone else not shown me that there was a different show, or a different way to consume it.
Well, I think
we all just enjoy and embrace creatives. Anybody that can play an instrument, that writes, that sings, that dances, that paints. There's so many aspects that their minds are just so vast. I get excited when I see somebody that can. We went to we went someplace Friday, and the guy, he played the guitar with one hand and the piano with the other, and he was singing. And I was just like, oh my God, people do that? It's just amazing to me. So I get very excited about creatives.
Yeah, absolutely. And, they're working so hard to create the most, I don't want to say perfect, but like the best example of what they've been working on is presented on stage every night.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we know as insiders in the community that anything can and will happen.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we always point out that it's live theater, and that's what's exciting about it. It's like, if you see a stellar performance where it was flawless, that is great, and that's live theater. But if you see it and there's a moment where like there's a mistake that happens, like a cue didn't fire well, or like somebody dropped a line or whatever, and you hear the audience, like you can tell the audience is rooting for the production to get back on track, however it does. And when it does, you're like, yes, I knew you guys were good. It's like, it's not about like it being perfect. It's like, we're rooting for you as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Please tell the story about Back to the Future. Please.
Ooh.
So I'm going to tell it really quick.
Too.
But I'm going to tell it really quick, but it's funny because we went to see Back to the Future when it came to the Academy. It was a Friday night, and they had made an announcement that there might be a change in the cast, but we didn't hear anything or hear anything. And so during the end of the first act going into the second, there was an announcement made. And they said that there was an actor that was going to take over the role of the brother of Marty McFly. And the name was Tyshawn. I can't remember what his last name is. And so the people sitting next to us said, well, why did they have to make that announcement? And so Ella and I looked at each other because we also knew the actor was originally a white person, but we could tell by the name the person was going to be Black.
Yeah.
So as soon as they said, oh, why did they make that announcement? Ella and I looked at each other and said, you'll see. And as in the middle of the act, here comes this really talented, handsome brown boy playing the role. And they were like,
we laughed. It was
we
so
laughed. And the show
funny.
just kept going. And but I think they all reacted in that moment. And they were like, so never disrespect the swing because they keep the show going.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if it's in the middle.
Even if it's in the middle. And we're not
so
all the
funny.
same.
Mm-hmm.
An actor is an actor.
Yes.
That is great. I think we saw A Christmas Story at Walnut Street Theater, and I think this was opening night. And the woman who was playing the mother was swapped out like halfway through the show, and we noticed it. I think it happened in an earlier scene. It was still Act 1, and it happened. And then I think in the second act, it was announced right before the second act that, for the remainder of the show. And then, but everybody, but again, one of those things at the end, resounding applause for her because they knew that she stepped in and she was stellar, And so I think that's always a plus too.
I love that.
I'll tell you, there's a moment that I kind of regret that I did this. I bought tickets to see Gypsy on Broadway with Audra McDonald, and it was a Christmas gift for my partner. He loves Audra McDonald. We love Audra McDonald. I feel like we chase Audra McDonald around. We've seen this
any production.
Her same show like several times, like once at the Carnegie, once at the Marian Anderson, and somewhere else. But when we were about to go, we found out that she was not going to be there because she was going to a funeral. And so I was like, the cost of these tickets, I know he wanted to see Audra in this so badly. And so we exchanged our tickets and said we did a return, and we ended up going to see Oh Mary instead.
That was a good time.
But the thing is, like, her understudy was stellar, was amazing. And I was like, oh, I don't know why we could have done that.
Yeah.
We could have done it anyway, but we did see another show that just kind of speaks to like the ease of being able to kind of transition. That worked out.
That part,
Can I tell you? I feel that way about Deborah Cox. And she was in Jekyll and Hyde. And she was sick the night we went to see it. And I was sick because I wanted to see her. But her understudy was fantastic. And that was our introduction to her. And it's Emmy Raver Lamb something. But she's like, she went on to, she's been in the Wicked, she's been Hamilton, she's been in a lot of things. She
on television now. Yeah.
Why can't I think of it? Umbrella Academy. She's in Umbrella Academy. And she is phenomenal. So I'm like, it might have been a while to be introduced to her. She was in Hair too when we saw it, but she was amazing.
Oh.
So I was glad we got to see her. She was beautiful. She was sweet. She was amazing.
That is in us, just want to see the people that we want to see in production. And I learned a couple of years ago from Lin-Manuel, actually, he had made a comment because when he was in Hamilton, there was going to be the one night that he was going to take off and be in the audience to take it in. And that was the one night that Barack Obama was going to be there. And in his heart and in his mind, he felt like I should be on the stage so that the current president can see me. And then he said, who am I that feels like I should take that shine from someone else? And that the work is the work. And if anyone is doing it, it should still be the same reaction. And that's when I learned that I say, I don't get mad when it's not the actors that I want to be in it, or it's a touring company. Everybody worked so extremely hard to put on productions for shows. We just saw a beautiful production of Spring Awakening. We hadn't seen it since it was done, in our touring cast, because we didn't even see it on Broadway, maybe about 15 years ago. And to see it that sat with me in a way that just I look at the musical differently because I'm also a different person. Of course, Robbie directed it, Robbie Hager, and we love him, and he's an original cast member. We just,
Yeah.
but it was just something to be said to see something, even when it's no longer the it cast or the same production. There's just something to be said for just biting in and going in and wholehearted.
That was Relic Theater Company, so
Yes,
new theater company.
Local, yeah.
We're so obsessed
They
with
were
them.
so good.
And I serve on their board as well.
Oh,
I was
fantastic.
there before it was an
fan-
entity.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
That was
awesome.
just a
It was a great production. Yes, it was.
I'll tell you a
I'm
fun
excited.
story about how that happened. So Relic told me that they were going to do Spring Awakening, and I said, "Do you know Robbie Hager?" And they were like, "I think they know, but vaguely. They didn't have close relationship." And I said, "Yeah, Robbie Hager is he was in the original cast of Spring Awakening. He's in
Yeah.
Nightside Songs at
I
the
love
time."
That was
And
fantastic.
at Philadelphia Theater Company. And I said, I'll chat with him. And so we went to the show, and I don't know if it was after the show or before the show, because there was a moment where they could mingle. And he came over, and I was like, "Robbie, hey," and I gave him a hug, and I was like, "Robbie, I am on the board of a new theater company that is doing Spring Awakening as their inaugural production." And he almost cut me off and said, "I'd love to be a part of it." I was like, "What?
Wow.
Okay." I was like,
gosh.
"I'm going to let him know. You'll probably get a call tomorrow." And so I sent him an email, and I was like, "Jump on this."
Thank you,
That
thank
was
you, thank you.
amazing.
Because
It was a great choice. He brought in a great team, and they cast some wonderful young talent
Absolutely.
into
It was
that.
amazing.
It was so
Oh, it was so
beautiful.
good.
It
So
was.
beautiful. And what a great
Yeah.
sign for a company who,
Yes.
their first hit
Yes.
out of the box, Barrymore recommended, and what a great example of what you can expect from a Relic Theater Company. So that was
Absolutely.
really
Wow.
great.
And
And
new
you
And
talent
those are
too.
moments.
You can't be
Yes.
humble beginnings, because I think about with James Imes,
Mhm.
when we saw him at the Art Theater, almost 30 years ago.
His
Wow.
first production
and he-
too, out of college.
Yes, he was James and James and the Giant
Was
Peach.
it that long ago?
Yes, it
Yes.
was almost 30. That's
Gosh.
a little person, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So it maybe not quite 30.
well,
It-
maybe
it wasn't
25,
30,
somewhere
yeah.
around
Maybe
there.
20. You're not that old.
In my mind,
He and I are close, and I've been here.
Thank
it
you,
was
thank
very,
you,
very
Donna.
many years ago.
I've been here about
But just to
25
think
years.
that he started
Really?
as being James,
Wow.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah.
neither.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 45.
Don't crack.
Wow.
It don't. My grandma said
I love it.
when I went to college, she said, "Don't eat so much ramen; it's high in sodium, and try not to eat too much candy because your face will break out."
And that's
So
Did
bad.
you do both of those things?
Yeah, I paid attention. I drink
Yeah.
a lot of water. My guilty pleasure is kind of gummies or licorice.
Yeah.
But I'm not sitting around all day consuming those things.
I get it. And I know what Nikki was going to say about James, but the one thing about it was he was a representation very early off. And I can't tell him enough. We absolutely adore him. He knows
We
this.
love him.
But we tell him all the time that our nephews just love seeing him on stage in the art and theater as that character, the main character of a book that they had read.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
just to see him now, just of course he's not acting as much, if ever. I would love to see him on stage again. I'm just saying it right now.
What a
But
shameless plug. Dry begging.
but oh gosh, yeah. But to see right before one of the last things he did was a stage reading during Philadelphia Theater Week, a reading of Fat Ham,
Mhm.
and hearing it and saying, "I can't wait to see this show."
Yeah.
Of course, COVID happened, and we didn't get to take it in that way, but we got to see it digital. We
Yeah.
got to see it get nominated. We got to
Mhm.
see it in New York, and then we
Mhm.
got to see it multiple times in Philadelphia. Just because but it just speaks to how committed we are in Philadelphia to the arts and our people. And now we're getting ready to do the amazing James Imes Citywide.
Uh-huh.
We're getting ready to
Yes.
go into this second. You constantly see how especially the arts, they pour into our artists, whatever may be young, old, new talent, revisited, just all of it. And so that's why I think that when you see Philadelphia, you see us in those spaces, it's because of that. We want people to know that Philadelphia is doing great things. And we go to other theater companies, but I just love what we do and the different types of shows that we do. You can go see a brand new world premiere opera for $11 with amazing talent.
Yeah.
You can I could run down a whole list of ways that we have, as much as people see us out and about. We watch our costs because Philly allows us to.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways to take in the art, and I just never want money to be a barrier for anyone, or transportation. We take public transportation. Although we do have vehicles, we consume it in all different ways. And I want people to know that I take pictures on the bus so people can see I am actually on the bus going, to the arts. And so I think that that's the most important thing I feel when we do the reels, is that, yes, we want to enjoy it, but we want people to see this is what fun can also look like in Philly.
Yeah, this is when I did interviews in person before the pandemic, I used to meet you at your theater. And so I would go to Quintessence. I would always open the interviews saying, this afternoon I went to Suburban Station. I got on the Chestnut Hill West, and I got off at Allen Lane, and I walked a couple blocks through a beautiful neighborhood to make my way to Germantown Avenue here at the Sedgwick to talk to Quintessence Theater Group. I had to let them know how to get there, because it's sometimes you just think, oh, it's far. It's like, arguably, if you're going to People's Light in Paoli, it's probably good to drive, but you can get there. You can get there on public transportation. You just have to plan. It's just like New York.
Exactly.
It's exactly.
I'll take the train in New York and I'll see a matinee because I want to get home, before it's too late. And so I'm always there on the weekend for a matinee because I'm taking public transportation.
We've gone during the week. We've gone on a Tuesday and saw a show, an evening show, and ran to get the last train,
last train
home, get home at, 1 a.m.
The actors were even surprised to say, you're going home tonight?
We were like, we hung by the stage door too. Okay, now we got to go. Now we got to go home.
I love that. That's dedication right there.
Yeah.
We had to. I'm like, sometimes it's just an adventure.
Yeah.
Let's have an adventure.
So I know we did mention a few things that you've recently seen that we've both seen, but is there something that is like it's rent free in your head right now for this season? Is there a piece that you can't shake currently at this moment?
Or that I want to go see?
That you've seen, and then what you're looking forward to.
So for me, it was Fire at the Quintessence.
Fire was fire.
It was fire for so many reasons. I mean, everything that they were selling, I was buying because it was a story that I had never heard that was true. And they did such a beautiful job. And it's funny that you mentioned Spring Awakening, because whenever I posted about Spring Awakening, I always talked about Fire also, because it was two young, beautiful cast that, that were young people just were on fire on the stage, and that was what I absolutely, I love the new members that I had not seen, the staging, because one of the things that Quintessence does beautifully is they use their entire space.
Yeah.
And that, I think, their entire theater house. So I think that was the one that for me right now, I can't shake it. I love it.
That joyful noise in the lobby. I loved that moment. I'm just all smiles the whole time, and I'm watching the work they're all doing, just like being characters making their way to this train.
It was beautiful.
And Nick Parker is in that show. He's a good friend of mine. I was like, I leaned over to Erica Easold, who's the managing director at Quintessence, and I was like, the facial work that Nick is doing in this moment right now. He was looking back like, who called me? Like, kind of looks on his face. He was doing so much and it worked. It was like, there's just so much energy there. Everybody was excited to be here together.
Yes.
In this moment, those characters. And I loved how they had part of their scenic design was this backstage moment that was further away from us, but we were still very much into it.
Oh my gosh.
And it was
that was
like
my
I love this.
And when you see Kassan walking around and he's frantic because he's the one that put up all, and that's not the character's name, I mean the actual person's name, but you can tell, you feel the energy that they're putting on this production, but we're also, stressed out in the back. It was just so beautiful watching all the pieces being done, and then going back home and being able to read through and say, I know what they're talking about right now. It was just a beautiful production. Everything from souvenirs, like I said, souvenirs to the staging, to the actors. I love it and I want more and more. More and more.
Yeah, I saw your post. You made a comment on my interview with Kashim Fowler-Bryant on that one.
I love him. So good. So good.
He was wonderful in that role. I was so glad.
Really?
Okay. All right. Let's go to Nicole.
I have two. I think it's a toss-up for me between Plantation Black and Suffs.
Okay.
Plantation Black because I love Phaedra's idea. I was like one of those kids that read Encyclopedia Brown books and you could choose your ending. I love this that you could choose. The audience chose where the story started and how you would have a different perspective. And the way that it opened or the opening lines were the closing lines and how things tied together. That was so amazing to me. And Phaedra had on some really, really cute Doc Martens that I love. But the other, and then Suffs is because I felt that Suffs was so relevant to right now. Not only with it being Women's History Month, but just how far we've come, but still how much farther we have to go. So those two are still sitting with me very much.
Yeah. And both great productions that were here in the city.
Yes, they were. Yes.
And
so
Ella?
I had enough time, right, to think. And it's strange because I never can pick a favorite. Like, well, what's your favorite music? I don't have a favorite.
She loves everything.
I can never pick a favorite. Or if I go through phases, like I want to see something, I'll watch it every day.
Yeah.
But so for me right now, I think the show that I really loved, and I just didn't know anything about it, but I think it was a beautifully written story, is Blues for an Alabama Sky. And I used to be this fairy tale girl. Always wanted to be a happy ending and everything. Now I am okay with it being sad. So if if those emotions come up in me that are, my heart is breaking, whatever, that's a good story for me.
Right.
So I just think the cast was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The cast, it was beautifully acted. The set was gorgeous. And I just really love that show. And it was a show that I didn't know anything about. And I don't know. I just think it was, it reminds me of like the old timey, Cat on the Hot Tin Roof and all like those old, but I'm not interested in that. Like Days of Wine and Roses, like those kinds of stories. But, and I usually don't like those for whatever reason. But this, the way it was told and the characters just, I just got something from all of them. So I think that's an amazing show, and that anybody go see that show. The cast was phenomenal. Cookie, that was their first stage.
Yeah.
Right? Their first acting role.
Brett was fantastic.
Fantastic. Yes. It's fantastic. Have you seen it yet? Are you going to go see it?
I have. I saw it opening night. It was
okay.
Very lucky. It was
I loved it.
Yeah, I loved the cast. Every character had their moment where they could shine. Cookie was wonderful. Cash was wonderful.
Oh my gosh.
Like Cash's character was like,
my gosh.
There were moments where Cash's character was like cringe because it felt like the character was sort of obsessed with Sam was obsessed with Deli.
Yes.
And but he was just awkward.
Yeah.
And then he
And
grew
he
on her,
gave
and
up-
then
yeah.
and it was so
They
beautiful.
grew
And
on
I
us.
did not expect the play to end the way it did, and I was like,
None of us.
oh my God.
None
And then
yeah.
an Angel, that character, like
Mhm.
to me,
Ebony.
it didn't feel like it was acting. I felt like that was watching somebody, people really in life.
Yeah,
Yes.
it felt very
I just
lived
thought it was-
in.
Yeah,
Yes.
it was fantastic.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Fantastic.
And I just
And it
want
was
to have
extended.
an extra. Yes.
Was it?
I
Extended
love
through
it.
March
Wait,
22nd. That's
yes,
That's
yes.
Lantern
awesome.
Lantern.
Theater Company's
Yes.
production of Blues for an
Yeah.
Alabama Sky. Go see
Yes.
it.
You're gonna have to go again.
It's
I might have to go
Plug for
again.
Lantern.
Yes,
Like,
there's
it's fantastic.
it
It's
really
fantastic.
is. I loved it. Oh, but I
All right,
had
you said
one
there was a
more
bonus.
I had one extra one because I'm enjoying this season so
Mhm.
much, even while you're saying that you have such a long, because it's such a vibrant things that are going on. And of course, I enjoy Fringe too. So I can understand you having a lot of shows to talk about. But I did want to mention one other show that really sat with me that was a very popular show that's being done right now. And it's Primary Trust.
Mm.
Yes.
And I think because there are also conversations that are not being had in multiple communities about, mental health
Mhm.
in regards to relationships, like we just said, being awkward and all of those things in that particular show, and what the cast gave in it, it was just stunning to watch. Even from the set, I realized maybe halfway through that the set was like almost like when we were kids, it had a pop-up book.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It was just beautiful to watch, and it just consumed me in every way. I said the moments that were uncomfortable and how Amina directed, but also how Newton played it.
Yes.
He just
Yeah.
left you there in those moments that
Mhm.
we have such stellar actors, but they're
Talent.
also but even the people that are being mindful of the productions that they're putting on the stage are very conscious, and I really appreciated that when that particular one
Absolutely.
it was funny and fun, but it was heart-wrenching to watch,
Yes.
and so that was one of my extra bonuses. And every
That's-
single show that we mentioned were all directed by females. And so we just want to put that in the universe.
That's
Again,
true.
back to the women. Come on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, that was wonderful. I fell in love with Akeem Davis as Bert and
Yes.
Yeah.
Tasha as Karina, the waiter.
Yes.
Like all those choices that she made every time she had to like
Every-
reset and present,
Yes.
I thought it was wonderful.
She was brilliant.
So good.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
It was so good. That was really good.
Yeah, and the whole cast was wonderful.
Yes.
Newton Buchanan,
Yes.
arguably the
And
lead.
Mike
On
was
stage
great.
now.
Yes, he
Yeah,
is.
yeah, he is.
Yes, he's on
He's on
stage now.
stage.
Good
He's on
bones.
good bones. Good bones.
I'm gonna say it here because I've been saying it to him the whole season. I'm going to get an interview with Newton
Yes,
this season.
yes.
Yes.
Newton
Yes.
has done.
Yes.
He is cast all season. It's
Yes.
crazy. I think it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
Which
Newton
is
is
great.
outside, y'all. Newton is
Yeah.
outside.
You go
Yeah.
back to back, show after show,
Yes.
because he brings so much to every single role that I
Yes.
would love to see you pick his brain. Just
Mhm.
whether it's for his theater company or as an actor
Yes.
or for a production. He just
Mhm.
is,
So talented.
Yes, he
Mhm.
is.
Yes.
So talented.
He's wonderful. Well, it's not his fault. It's mine.
Okay.
I've been super busy, and so I'm just saying it now, so I can be like, episode
We'll hold you
28
to-
said we
Yes.
need to have
Yes.
that interview.
Yes, yes.
And we
yes,
will
yes, yes.
remind you. We will
Yes.
remind you.
Yes.
Keep me honest on that one.
Yes.
I will say I probably have two shows that stood out that just keep space in my head, and I would say I went to Hedgerow in December to see Little Women.
Really?
This was an adaptation by Kate Hamill. It was directed
Okay.
by Abby Weissman and with music direction from my husband,
Ooh,
Vanessa Nardi.
that's great.
Oh my God.
And that
But
was
we
one of my
sat
favorite
there-
books.
we sat there. That piece was so beautiful because this adaptation spoke to Joe feeling like an outsider in their family, but they presented it as what many have come to realize over time, that Joe, the character Joe, is non-binary. And so all of in the life of the family hit differently when you really make
when
that
you
clear.
realize, yes.
And it was so touching. Like it's Beth's story overall.
Yeah.
And just the ensemble was just wonderful. And it ends with this little
Joe. Who played
Joe? Joe was Marissa Emerson.
Yes, I wanted to see.
Yeah, wonderful. Olive Gallagher was Beth and had just won a Barrymore like a few weeks ago. Like Leo Mock was Laurie, and Marmee.
Yeah, that was a great cast.
Emily Grace
I wanted
Murray.
to see. I wanted to see that, and that's the one struggle we have
haven't
because
been
so
to that
much theater.
and there's things there that happen. I'm like, where is it? It's probably not even that far. But I always see things there. I always see things they're doing shows there, and we just haven't ventured there. So now we have to.
So you can take a train to Hedgerow Theater. I think it's the Rose Valley Station, but
what part of
it's media. It's basically media.
Okay.
But it's a little tricky because when you get to that train station, you could walk to the theater, but the road is like there isn't a sidewalk on the road, and so it feels dangerous. Yeah, so that would be a drive.
We would try.
I was told that there is a path from the train station that will get you safely to the theater.
No, do the nature. I don't do the nature.
Yes. Anyway, get a friend, carpool, get out to Hedgerow Theater.
Yes.
Hedgerow has had a long legacy, and they are continuing to hold true to their name. Everybody who works there, it's like a rite of passage to just kind of have Hedgerow Theater on your resume in some way. And so they're doing great work, and I made an effort this season to really try to highlight more of what they were doing. And so like Little Women did not disappoint. I said, I feel like we're going to be at the Barrymores talking about how beautiful that show was.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
And I guess the other show, even though I enjoy everything that I go to see, because the whole point is to find something that I love about it, take it with me. I loved Plantation Black, but since you already said that, we'll leave it there. I loved Caesar, but we talked about that, and so I'll leave it there. A show that really held me was 1 pound, 4 ounces.
Yes.
Yeah.
You gonna make me cry.
Right?
We saw that
twice. Was Azuka Theater and Simpatico Theater co-produced that. Khalil Munir. I had a great chat with him.
Yes,
it was so wonderful, that piece. Like the love in that room. He said in the chat. He said in our chat something about the fact that these men who have been carrying themselves with like stoicism, like trying to be the rock for everybody, for them to be able to like resonate with this and break down and be real and kind of soft with him. Like he said that is the moment. That's when I know. And I was like, I'm so glad. However it got to Azuka and Simpatico, I'm so glad it happened. It was so beautiful.
Yes.
Well executed.
Yes.
What a wonderful piece. Yeah.
Yes,
I'm a huge fan of Khalil Munir.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, we saw that twice.
And anything we love, you know it, because you'll see it posted twice, if not more. Because it just, you want to take it in just one more time, because sometimes the production just is not the same if you see someone else do it. We weren't ready.
We weren't ready. And they had the tissues outside. I needed those tissues.
Yes.
Oh my God, it was beautiful.
But there's too much theater that really stood out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, when I was in the Fringe, there were 2 pieces that were works in development, and the way they had used the Fringe to continue developing the piece, I really enjoyed that. There was new work that was being presented.
Fringe was fantastic. Yeah,
people from out of town came in and told some great stories.
And still got to meet and learn some new talent. We saw, and I'm going to mention my 2 real quick, Caribbean King. And
I love that.
Was it New Heaven,
New Earth?
Yes. Yeah.
Those
Both
2 fantastic. I won't
Because
even go
we
into the
saw
whole
the
thing, but it's
reading.
fantastic.
We
Mhm.
saw the reading like at Arden for New Heaven, New Earth, and just how different it is now
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
what we
Yeah.
saw.
And those were, and
I
all
love
of
it.
it's fantastic, but Fringe just does some things
Mhm.
because people are afraid sometimes to take a chance. And with
Yeah.
Fringe, you really do get a chance to see some different work. We saw even a production of, I can't remember what, Dan Dogberry.
Dogberry and Burgess are
Yes.
scared.
Are scared.
Yes.
Just those types of, so they're even tapping into Shakespeare.
They
They
were
tap
so
into
great.
everything. That is a great festival that we have in Philadelphia. Then
And
we also saw the Variety Pack.
that production's on its way to Edinburgh.
We
That's
were talking
awesome.
to Scott. We're
We were
talking to
talking to
Scott. I
Scott.
love him. I
Oh,
love him. I'm
That
like,
was
I
a-
want to go to England to, to
Yes,
West End and
taking
see some
something.
shows.
Yeah,
That
I
is
love it.
We're
that
gonna
is a
put that
stop.
out there. It's coming. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a destination on our honeymoon to go to Edinburgh. So yeah,
That's
Yes.
So we'll be there.
fantastic.
Now,
Well, I'm glad you squeezed
wonderful,
us
yes.
in between all of that.
well, we're not going till the summer, so we're
Of
going
course, because
when
this
the
weather
festival's
is.
in August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so where's that information? Because maybe we could make that happen too.
We
I'm
won't
dying to
intrude
go.
on
Yeah.
your.
No, we won't. We won't
no,
act
no.
like we know you. And
But
Scott
we-
was
everybody.
talking about it too. Scott
I
was
want
talking about it
all
too.
the listeners to plan airfare and travel
Yes.
to go to Edinburgh
Yes.
and keep track of the Philadelphians who make their way over there.
Yes.
I think that's what's fun. When I first went, I was following the artists I knew that were coming from Philadelphia and New York. I had done a post and said, I'm going to Edinburgh this year. Let's connect. And so I got like 7 people from New York who
Wow.
connected with me. And then the handful, I think it was like 5 different productions from Philly that were coming. And it was so cool to say, I had to go all the way over to the pond, to have a chat
meet you.
with some Philadelphians and New Yorkers. But it was wonderful because I'm media, so I got a press pass, and when I got the press pass, their contacts would just send me an email and say, "Here's all the shows I'm repping. Let me know what you want to see."
Oh wow.
And I was able to schedule interviews with them. I sat out in courtyards. We sat on the University of Edinburgh's campus,
That's
just having a chat.
awesome.
It was so fun, and it was a good test on how to remotely produce the podcast.
Right.
And so I
Okay.
was churning those episodes out. It was
Wow.
so good.
I have to go back and visit those. I want to go back
Yeah,
and
but
find
I'm
those.
looking forward to it, and I'm rooting for Dogberry and Burgess are scared because I know it is not cheap to go to
It's not.
Edinburgh, and so I do believe that they are doing at least 1 or 2 productions that are like fundraisers that lead up to getting them what they need to go to Edinburgh. So we'll see,
Okay.
and we'll look forward to it.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that cast, as many can go. My
Mhm.
fingers are crossed for them because they were
yeah,
So
fantastic.
good.
That was-
so good.
that was so great.
Yep.
So what are you looking forward to? Like it's March. Like what are you looking forward to in March?
We're going
My
to see
goodness.
Hamlet tomorrow.
No, Thursday. We're going Thursday
Thursday.
with Eddie Izzard.
Izzard.
Yeah. So we're looking forward to
I'm
that.
excited.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about that. And we've just really started getting into Hamlet because we saw the P.A. Shakes
Mm-hmm.
production last summer, which was phenomenal. So I'm excited about seeing that because one person shows its own thing. You
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
when you've got one person on stage and doing everything, that just it is a different level of talent to me.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that.
I'm looking
I don't
forward
know
to
what we
Romeo
have-
and Juliet.
Yes.
Yeah.
At the
That
art.
we had tomorrow. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. There's a
I
couple
think
of
I'm that
things
for
that are on
Friday.
my.
I'm Romeo and Juliet for Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
Great.
think. I think I'm looking forward to that. And then what else is happening? I revisit things. I'm not going to lie
Mhm.
because if I seen something and I want to see it again, I will because I do
Mhm.
want to see. And that's the one thing. Some shows run a long time and some only get a short window. Because theater is what it is right now, and
Mhm.
so I want to see Good Bones once more because a lot of shows that we also see are in previews.
Mhm.
And so I
Yeah.
love to revisit a show if I enjoyed it in previews to see how they, how they move with each other at this point in regards to that. I think that's the one that I am looking forward to revisiting, but I'm looking forward to Romeo and Juliet. I love. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I got one.
Okay.
Because it's a theater that we've never been to, and it's a show that I love. We're going to go see Jelly's Last Jam at
Yes.
the Riverside.
Yep.
We've never been there, and that show we went to see it at Encores in New York, and we were like, that should have gone to Broadway. It was
Straight to Broadway.
phenomenal.
It was everything. Leslie Uggam. You had Nicholas Christopher. Billy Porter, the original Honeys. You know, that's our old fuss.
So now I'm like, this is the only way. But I'm excited because we've never been there, and it's a show that I've only seen once before, and I loved it. So I'm really excited about that. Have you ever? You've been to the
Bristol Riverside is a great theater. They're newly renovated. Probably like last season that they did a renovation. I've never been disappointed when I went up to Bristol to see a show. It always seems to rain when I'm there, though.
Good luck for the actors. Maybe.
Yes,
maybe it's good luck.
Another place you can get to on public transportation, but it is a little bit of a walk from the train station.
But
on a beautiful day, not a big deal.
No. What happens when the sun goes down?
Good.
Then you get back. I'm like,
Oh yeah. Well, if you're doing a matinee, you can take the walk.
Important.
But yeah, Bristol's great theater.
Walk. Yeah. But I'm like, no, she's driving.
I only walk because I don't drive. I had a license. I had a car once upon a time. I just don't have one now. And since I've been in Philly, I haven't had the need. There's always somebody very close to me who drives. My best friend drives, and my husband drives.
I get it.
Google Earth, Darnell, you will see Ella's car probably 95% of the time parked because we take public transportation.
Right.
She does not drive it that much, so that's just my thing.
When Google came by, your car was out there.
It's always there.
That's my old car.
It's always going to be there.
It is.
But you know what? There is something else that is super exciting. When you were talking about being committed to making sure that you promoted Hedgerow Theater, one of the things that every year we do something different that we focus on. And this in regards to theater. And so last year was our theater season of discovery. We found a lot of new companies. And so that was one of my favorite things. And this season is visiting really early works and the conversations with people that have, almost had amazing success and still are doing the hard work to get their pieces done. And that comes along with us going to Playpen last year. And so now I've been following them and the things that they're doing. And on the 30th and the 1st, they are having sessions with James Imes and Roger Q. Mason.
Yeah,
and those
both of them.
And so I'm looking forward to that, just the conversation and watching how their mind actually works and how things come and, how they're very, open to people, because everyone gets very touchy about their work. And to watch someone who has had the success that they have, and still willing to welcome people into the room to, say, well,
hash it out.
I'm excited about that. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Roger Q. Mason is a part of a film called Lavender Men that is in our queue right now.
Oh my gosh, I have to watch because I wanted to watch it too.
I had a great chat with Roger Q. Mason for the Duat.
Yes, we love that. That was so good.
That was a great chat.
That was just on my mind as a one-man show. Yeah.
Fantastic.
It's a great chat. Go back and listen to that. I say it somewhere in it. I was like, I feel like I want to go to LA and take one of your classes. I was like, this is I'm feeling fed right now. I was like, this is so good.
He really does. When we met him, we were like, we could have stood and talked to him. We told him that forever. Just because
he's very approachable. Yes,
leader.
Yes, he is the master class. Yes, everything. yes.
What a lively discussion we've had.
My God.
Yeah,
Ooh,
They
and
talk
with
a
no
lot. They
cocktails, and
talk a
not
lot.
any cocktails
I
either.
hope our listeners are doing laundry or vacuuming and enjoying
Yes,
us chatting right
I
now
hope so too.
I really hope so too.
and saying like,
I-
"Oh, I gotta get to these theaters. They mentioned
Yes.
Lantern,
please,
Philadelphia Theater
Yes.
Company,
please.
Azuka,
Please,
Oh
please,
my
Arden."
please.
gosh, listen.
Theater
Theater
Exile.
Yeah,
Exile. Don't get
Theater
us
So
on them
Exile.
now.
many.
The
Yep.
art and the
Absolutely.
Yes.
Prostomium, yeah,
Yes.
I always
Interact, all of
say
them.
there's two things I always say that theater kids are the best kids. I always use that as a
Mhm.
hashtag. And
Agreed.
I always say theater is more fun with a +1.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
because
Yes.
the thing is, like, and I got this particularly from Theater Exile before I ever worked there. I knew that the conversations they were having on stage were affecting me in real time,
Yes.
feeling like intense feelings about what was going on stage. And so that was in the theater. But then my walk home, I was still thinking about it. And if I was
Yeah.
with someone, we're having a great chat
That part.
about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the next day I'm talking to coworkers about it. And my
Mhm.
opinion of the piece is evolving
Yeah.
as I'm having the conversation. And I'm saying like, yeah, like how you can find something to hold on to in every
Absolutely.
conversation that's
Absolutely.
being had. You just have to want to find something. You know,
Absolutely.
sometimes you walk into a space saying, this is going to be a train wreck. And you're waiting for the first inkling of something to say, well, now, right.
Mhm.
Instead, you say, I am ready to give myself to this experience.
Yes.
I'm going to
Now,
silence
all
my
in
mobile
that-
devices. I'm going to eat my candy. I'm going to say my
Yes.
last things to my friend. And I'm going to be
Yes.
in this
In
moment.
the moment. Yeah,
Yes.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
And I love when I go with really no expectation
Mhm.
and come out and having seen something so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
I
like
agree.
that was the thing with Back to the Future. I'm like, you know, it's a cute movie, whatever. I didn't expect it to be so
So
fun.
Funny. Yeah.
It was so much
Every
fun.
time
I'm
the
like,
DeLorean
when
flew
Yes.
was
Yes.
When he was
such an
running up the ship.
experience.
When he was
yes.
running
Did
up
not
the
know what to
stairs. I love
expect.
that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
I love
the screen when he was going up the clock,
it. was
Yep.
brilliant. It was brilliant.
everything was
All of that.
wonderful.
And I think
Wonderful.
I think initially when it came to Broadway, there was a lot of criticism saying that people are just there for the car. You know, like the story is, you know, when it's a film first, you
Yeah.
have to think about how you're going to tell this story musically. And so it won't follow the same path that the movie
Right.
did, but it
Right.
will have all of those elements. So you
Yeah.
know you're
Right,
in the
right.
world, but you're thinking about it differently. Like Beetlejuice does a good job of that. Like it's
So
I agree.
not the premise of the movie where it's the
Right.
Madeline's house that's being possessed. Instead, the musical is about Beetlejuice's relationship with Delia.
Yeah.
And so
That's
all of
true.
those other things are still there. But if you notice, Delia and
Oh.
Beetlejuice are the focus in that. And
Right.
so when you think about how the story's told differently, you're great. But like when it's something that is a cult classic and you're like, oh, this got a hold on
Can you
me.
tell them not to make Purple Rain?
Is it in the works?
Yeah.
I feel like I think I did hear something like that. I know. It's like, I don't know. I mean, we felt kind of odd about MJ, and MJ is killing it.
That's
you
Yeah,
know?
but
true.
that wasn't a movie. That was his
life.
life. Like
That's true.
it's not like Dirty Dancing on
Yeah.
stage.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they won't tell the movie as clearly. Perhaps
Yeah.
they'll find some other
Yeah.
way
His life. Yeah.
to still be in the world, but also
Yeah. Some people
I
are
think
very
that's coming.
gifted in telling it because, like, you watched The Bodyguard and you assumed it was going to be the
That was like
movie.
being at a concert, though.
But
that
it was so
amazing.
beautiful how they did it. So I think some people get it right and some people don't. But even still, we still just take it in. We're like, it was entertaining. And I
Yeah.
never tried to, and I tried because I think it's so important not to drag anything.
Purple Rain was the first concert I ever went to.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yes.
And I
Yes.
was we didn't go to concerts as kids, but that was the first concert
Yeah.
I ever went to because I loved Prince.
I
And
remember
we were
watching.
behind the
Biased.
stage.
So she's
Yeah.
biased.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yes.
I
Very
had
biased.
everything. I'm like,
I was too young to go to the concert, but I feel like I saw Purple Rain all the time.
Yeah.
huh?
Like,
We
you
watch
know,
it all the time. Between that and Neverending Story, those are like my repeats.
well,
My
all right,
goodness, I loved
nostalgia.
it.
Okay. I know we got to find now we got to craft a movie night.
Yeah.
There you go. Listen.
Let's get one of the theaters to borrow their space so we can play Neverending Story.
Yes, I made
Please.
popcorn, and we're going to watch Strange Magic, Ella and I, tonight. So
Yeah.
that'll be fun. Yes, our musical and little TV.
Well, that's awesome. I'm so glad we had this chat, and I really
my
hope
gosh.
that you think about coming back, maybe quarterly, or just in a moment to like talk
Absolutely.
about what you've
Absolutely.
seen and what you're looking forward to seeing. And I'm so glad you're
Absolutely.
out here, like sharing your love of the arts with all of us. It's
Thank
just
you.
been wonderful, and that's why I wanted to have you on the chat today. And I thank you so much for taking
You
the
light up
time.
my
to chat
heart
with
Yes,
whenever
me.
I
thank
see
you
you
for
in theater.
having
So
us.
Thank
thank
Yes,
you.
thank you for having
Thank
us.
you
Thank
for
you
what you
so
do.
much.
You're so sweet.
Laura, Nicole,
Yeah.
thank you so much for chatting with me
Thank
today.
you.
It was truly a pleasure, and we did not forget Rozzy and Dar,
Yes.
who aren't with us today.
Yes.
Yes.
But all DemBruceGals, you can follow them on Instagram, DemBruceGals, and if you're at an opening night or probably like a
Say
preview
hi.
leading to opening, you
Yes.
will probably
Please
see
say
them.
hi.
Yes. Thank you so much, and we will definitely have another chat soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Way to go.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.